Welcome back into another Baron Banter. Quick turnaround this week. Well, it probably seems like that because we recorded last week on a Friday. This week, we're recording on a Wednesday, but this won't be put out till Friday like normal. Two things today. Two big changes today. First thing, we're back to a three-man crew. Chris, welcome back.
I'm glad to be back.
It's good to have you back, man. We had some issues that we had to deal with, but you're here. You're starting to get healthy again. Car's getting better.
You missed the angriest week we've ever had on
this
entire podcast.
A very angry week.
I'm so upset that I missed it, but just listening to it made me felt like I was there.
Well, we'll get you back and up and going. I don't think we're going to get as angry this week because that brings up point number 2 for this week. Guess what we're doing to start the show? Not political talk. We're not going to touch on Donald Trump. We're not going to touch on Republicans and Democrats. We're not going to touch on anything. It's going to be a little bit more of a lighthearted show today.
You could say that Donald Trump is the one who would be doing the touching.
Yes. Just yes.
All right.
Okay.
So yeah, we will not be touching on Donald Trump or politics or anything like that. I had my fair share in D.C. yesterday. Walked by his house. Hoped maybe somebody was there. Maybe I'd catch a glimpse at Ivanka, but no such luck. So let's get started. We're going to change things up a little bit today. The first segment we're going to do today, and this is more of this is going to be more of the back and forth like we do with the politics stuff, but it won't be political. So as Chris, I know you know, and Brandon, I'm not sure if you're aware, you're not a sports guy, but I'll fill you in. Las Vegas is going to be getting 2 professional teams soon. The Las Vegas Golden Knights, who are joining the NHL, they just had their expansion draft. They'll be joining the NHL for the 2017-2018 season. And then the Las Vegas Raiders, the Oakland Raiders, will be moving from Oakland to Las Vegas.
Are they still keeping the name as the Raiders?
As of right now, I think so.
Okay.
I think that's the case. No word has been said otherwise.
Okay.
But they are going to be moving. They'll be in Las Vegas by 2020. They may even be in Vegas by 2019 with a stadium with kind of a filler stadium,
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I believe UNLV plays there as of right now. It's Sam Boyd Stadium. It doesn't hold all that many. Actually, it holds 40. It can hold up to 40,000, which isn't too bad.
No offense to Raiders fans, but it's probably holding as much as a normal, their fan base.
Well, it's funny, too. The Raiders have these diehard fans.
They do.
That are they more diehard than Eagles fans?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. They're crazy out there in Oakland. But that kind of brings me to my point. We'll touch on the fan base leaving Oakland a little bit later, but I want to start with Vegas itself. And you're looking at a town that everybody knows what Vegas is. Vegas is a destination town where you go and you gamble and you do things that you don't regret. I mean, hell, the tagline for Vegas, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
There's never been a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
I wouldn't go that far. There are a lot of people that live in Las Vegas. This isn't Tortuga after all. But, so, we're talking about a town that is primarily driven by tourism and casinos and things like that. Can a town like that really doesn't have a steady population, I mean, you're looking at a population of about 600, a little more than 600,000 people. Can a town like that sustain a professional sports team? Not only a professional sports team, multiple professional sports teams.
That's a very good question. I guess we'll see what happens. My thing is, I have had this argument with people who said they don't deserve a sports team. It's a tourist town. Obviously, there's people who live there, and those people might like sports.
Right.
They don't have their own sports teams. So that might even generate like this new love for sports now that, we have our own team. Because have they ever had in the history of the big 4 sports have their own sports team? This is a first, right?
Exactly.
So even though it's a tourist town, there's obviously people who live there. It's not just like if you took out all the tourists, it's this empty wasteland.
Right.
There's people who live there who, the waiters and the waitresses at all the restaurants and the bars and the casinos and everybody who works there, they don't transport to some other land at the end of the day.
Right.
They go back to their home in Las Vegas. So people live there, and I guess we'll see.
Well, and it's not going to be this overnight sensation that I think people want it to be. But I mean, you take a look at it. The population in 2014 was 613,599 people. If you go back just a little bit over 21 years, it was only 312,000. So in 21 years, the population of Las Vegas has doubled.
It's getting big.
So again, it's not going to be an overnight thing. But if it were to double again, or let's say even if it just adds another 312,000, you're looking at nearly 1 million people by the beginning of the 2030s. Which, guys, I don't know if it makes you feel old or not, but the 2030s aren't that far away.
They're really not.
The 2030s are closer than 1999 was. Which is scary.
That's scary.
But so let's put it into perspective. There's going to be almost 1 million people, if not more, living in Las Vegas by the time the 2030 rolls around. How is that not a sustainable city? I mean, you take a look at some of the sports teams that are being played. I know Green Bay's got a smaller population. They have a football team. They have a rabid football team. I mean, I'm just looking at the NFL. There are certain cities that would stand out to me that are smaller in population, whether size-wise or population-wise, that to me would justify Las Vegas getting a team. What do you think, Brian?
Honestly, I have nothing to contribute for this one. You guys, I'm letting you guys lead this one. Sports are not my topic.
This isn't a sports topic. This is a question. Why do people not believe that Las Vegas can have a professional team?
Maybe just because of the simple fact, like you guys said, it is just mostly a tourist destination, and people aren't there to stay. But obviously, like from what you just said, people are there to stay.
Well, and that's the thing. Nevada has a population of 2.8 million people, and there's 600,000 in Las Vegas, which means over 20% of the population of Nevada resides in Las Vegas alone.
Guys, in Miami, the population as of 2014 is 430,000. Las Vegas has almost 200,000 people on them,
right?
And they have a couple different sports
They've got the Heat in the NBA. They've got the Marlins in the MLB. They've got the Dolphins in the NFL.
So they have
they don't have an NHL team, but the Florida Panthers aren't that far. Sunrise is not that far from Florida.
So that idea of population size really might not be a contributing factor of how successful the sports teams are going to be able to be. I mean, Miami Heat, how many years ago was it that they won
multiple championships?
So I don't think population size really has how successful this expansion will really be.
Well, what's the difference in population size between where they're going to and where they're going from?
Well, and that's the thing. They're coming from Oakland. So, and this is just the Raiders. Obviously, the Golden Knights are an expansion team, but they're coming from Oakland, a city of decreasing population, 400,000. Oh. So you have a bigger population in Las Vegas than you do in Oakland. So let's maybe look at it this way. I think that people are sitting here and saying, well, the problem may not be the population size and it may not be the sustainability. What really scares me is that, and this isn't me personally, this is what people are maybe thinking. What really scares me is the fact that if you put a team in Las Vegas, you're basically saying sports gambling is going to become illegal, or is going to become legal soon. And gambling on games is an acceptable form of entertainment or whatever because you're putting a team in Vegas. And I don't think those two correlate whatsoever.
No. That's true, but I feel like I don't think we'll ever get the statistic really down as the years go on and these expansions become into live play. But what's the emotional factor that on these citizens?
Right.
They have so much heart, and maybe they'll gain so much heart into their sports team and so much confidence in their sports team that they say, well, I'm going to drive downtown and place this certain amount of money on my home team. Like we don't have any clue what that ramifications are going to be,
right?
Because we've never experienced anything like that. That emotional factor of being in a city known for gambling and having a sports team that you're going to develop an emotional connection to. There's people in Philadelphia all the time. I'll bet $500 at the beginning of the season that the Eagles are going to go all the way to the Super Bowl.
How many times have the Eagles been to the Super Bowl? Twice.
There's the idiots like that, but now it's almost like more of an acceptable thing because I live in Las Vegas. I'm going to go downtown to Las Vegas and place money on my sports team.
Well, and you talk about, I think this one you could probably weigh in. This is more of a psychological thing than anything else. I think both you guys, Chris, you've got a psychology degree for God's sake. I mean, this is probably right up your guys' alley. With a kid getting drafted out of college, especially a kid that maybe grew up in Texas or Colorado, small towns, nothing big, went to college, probably experienced the college life, but at 21, 22 years old is going to be drafted by the now Las Vegas Raiders. How do you put a young kid in that situation?
Moving into Las Vegas.
Exactly.
With all the temptations of kid out of college moving into Sin City.
Is that a concern?
You know what? I didn't even think about that. I mean, how many times are we going to see these young athletes getting picked up for prostitution, things like that?
Right.
That, gambling's obviously not illegal in Las Vegas, but then there's other, kind of sinister factors that do take place in
right.
Las Vegas.
I mean, it's not like it's a clean city, and I don't mean clean as in dirty, but because I've never been there, could be dirty. Morally, right? Yeah. And that's the thing. So, what do you think, Brandon? Can you, as somebody that's about to be 20 years old, if you had the athletic ability to be drafted at the NFL or NHL level, how do you avoid the temptation of going into a city like Las Vegas, especially at your age, because you're not 21 and not gambling and not drinking? Because let's be honest. Nor us, if we walked up there, they'd say, "Let me see your ID." Oh, well, I'm not 21. Okay, well then get out. But if, superstar quarterback walks up, they're not going to card the guy. They're not going to say, "Let me see your ID." They want superstar quarterback in there, fraternizing with people, buying people drinks, getting people to come into the bar. Because at the end of the day, if superstar quarterback is at the bar, people want to go see superstar quarterback, so they're going to go to the bar.
Exactly. It'll almost be like a promotional factor. Like, guess the new quarterback of the Oakland Raiders, our new rookie quarterback is going to be at our bar tonight.
Right. Come
out and see him. So it's going to be a promotional thing. So getting off of that topic because we honestly don't know what's going to happen with young players coming into these sports towns. Do you think any of the tourist attractions are going to see a decline due to sporting events there? Because I know one thing that I love to do. If I'm ever going to a new city, I look up that city's sports team's schedule to see, hey, maybe while I'm in the city, I can go and see one of the sporting teams and visit their stadium that I wouldn't normally be able to do. Do you think that'll be a major factor?
Well, I think for people like you and I, sure, but then you got people like Brandon who aren't sports people that, I think you could go to. Like, let me put it into a perspective. If I went to Chicago, one of the first places I would want to go is Wrigley Field. I know Brandon doesn't give a shit about Wrigley Field. So what do you think, Brandon? Is that a tourist downsize or?
It could be a tourist downside, but think of it this way: you got a new team moving in. How many more people are going to come into Las Vegas, go see the game, and then come out and be like, I still got time on my hand. I still got some cash.
I'll head to the casino.
I'll head to the casino or something, and then they go in there, and then everything starts booming again.
That's true. Almost bringing people in for the games will also, which I didn't even think of. I don't know about city laws and where the new stadiums will be placed and where gambling is allowed and isn't allowed within the city limits. But do you think that a recreational part of the stadiums might be a casino built into the stadiums?
It very well could be.
In all our stadiums we have sports bars and all the stadiums have that. They might have a little club, stuff like that built into it. That would be pretty interesting if while you're on your, during halftime of a game, you can go out and start playing some slots.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. You got the newer, especially in the newer stadiums. I mean, they have. I mean, take a look at the stadium out in Arizona for the Diamondbacks, Busch. They have a pool in center field. I mean, Arizona, the Cardinals Stadium is supposed to be this state-of-the-art, up-to-date air conditioning. Greatest facility you can think of. Atlanta's putting one in that's very similar. The Vikings will be moving into a similar one this year. Everybody's moving towards that state-of-the-art, all-inclusive experience. You're not just going to watch a football game anymore because people's mindsets aren't there just to sit down and watch a football game. Because when stadiums were built in the 1960s and the 1970s and even into the 90s, you didn't really have that access to your fantasy team, daily fantasy sports, the NFL Network, your phone, the internet. All of that stuff is taking your time away from the game because you're looking at, well, I'm at Lincoln Financial Field, but I really need to see how Tom Brady's doing up in Foxborough. So I have my phone, I have everything that I can get. These new stadiums have to accommodate that, and it wouldn't surprise me to see a casino or some slots tables or something in the new Vegas stadiums.
I mean, think about it this way. You might say you go to a city and you drag somebody like Brandon along who has no interest really in the game, but you're doing this as a family thing.
I'm getting dragged all over the place today.
Yeah, you're just a rag doll today.
I'm getting dragged to Wrigley. I'm getting dragged. Oh, my God.
You're going to Chicago. You don't have to go to Wrigley.
Oh,
we didn't drag you to Wrigley. We just dragged you to Chicago.
Yeah, you just got sent to Chicago.
Thank God for that.
But somebody like that might be like, you guys watch the game. I'm going to chill at the other part of the stadium where the casino is. This is just all hypothetical. We don't know what's going to happen, but it's almost like Las Vegas getting a team. We've never seen it. The possibilities are endless. We have no clue what the outcome is going to be.
On the point where you guys had said that being in Las Vegas would introduce gambling and would possibly change certain aspects of watching the game, you had talked about like daily fantasy. Wouldn't that be considered a form of gambling? You're putting money on it.
It is a form of gambling,
and it's becoming illegal.
So how would it change anything?
Well, most places are, like Chris said, they're starting to crack down on the daily fantasy.
State laws that are passing it where they're getting taken down left and right.
But the difference is a lot of those daily fantasy and even fantasy leagues that people are in. The pool is in a certain area. So let's say we get in a fantasy league and we all go to Vegas. That fantasy league money is not coming with us. But if Vegas puts a casino in their stadium, every cent that they make goes to Vegas. They're not getting our daily fantasy money, but they're getting the slots money. That's the difference.
Oh.
So I guess we can say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, and that we hope that these teams do stay in Vegas.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, it could open up a lot of doors to a lot of possibilities. You may see more stadiums like that if they're successful in Vegas. One thing I can say before we wrap this segment up, I don't know how you guys feel, but I would rather a team move to Las Vegas than have a team move to England or Mexico or something like that. A professional. The NHL is different because the NHL is kind of multi-countryed. But the NFL is an American league. I don't want to see my team shipped off to another country.
I wouldn't have a problem if they were moved south of the border. I like this North American kind of aspect, but the games played in England, I think, are absolutely ridiculous.
Well, they're horrible. 9 a.m. starts. Nobody wants to be there. I don't know. I think they're starting to get it, but I don't think the fans truly understand the game out there yet.
It's like cricket for us.
Well, and that's the thing. That'd be like them trying to assimilate cricket into the United States. Nobody would get it. And they know football better than we know cricket. Because I don't know if anybody knows what the rules of cricket.
But you know what? I think the reason why they do it is because there's a connection of ownership between England and North America. My brother knows a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy. You know how that works.
Right.
Whose father is the owner of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Manchester United. So you can see how, when their ownership is, goes back and forth across the ocean, you can see how, connections can be made and teams can play in other
Well, and that's why I think if you look at teams in the NFL, you talk about Tampa Bay with that connection with Manchester. The Jags are the same way. I mean, Shad Khan was not an American born, and I mean he's a self-made man that bought the Jags. He has interest in sending the Jags over to England every year. He does it. The Jags are in England every single year, and that has nothing to do with the fact that they're not a good team.
Yeah,
it has everything to do with the fact that their owner wants to keep them in England or send them to England and try to have a little bit of an overseas competition.
As we wrap this up, I just want to have one final question. It's a yes or no answer. Do you guys like the logo of the Golden Knights?
No, I think it's horrible.
Brandon, this might be your first time seeing it. What do you think of that?
Kind of looks cool. Looks like a Spartan's helmet.
Are you guys missing the bigger picture?
The V?
The V is the helmet,
yes. Yeah. I love their logo. So
wait, what's their name?
They're the Las Vegas Golden Knights.
Why is there a V in there?
Vegas.
Oh, okay. I was stupid. I'm sorry.
The Las Vegas Golden Knights had their expansion draft. They took Pierre-Edouard Bellemare from the Flyers. Not a big deal in my opinion. A lot of people are upset about it though.
Yeah.
Let's head to our first commercial break. On the other side, we'll get to my rant. It will not be nearly as angry yesterday. In fact, it's going to be more of a conversational rant this week than it's been in weeks past. But we'll head to a commercial break. We'll get to that and much more on the other side, right here on Banter. Welcome back into the second segment of Banter. What do we got, episode 6 now?
Yes.
I think it's episode 6. Tyler Zulli, Brandon Zulli, Chris Matase from our exclusive basement studios. You can catch us on Twitter at Easy Mode Earls. You can also find us on YouTube at Easy Mode Earls. All of our great stuff is there. Don't watch anything that's not a podcast, though. We're not that cool.
Hey.
I'm just kidding. Watch all the good stuff that Brandon and Devin and all his buddies have to offer. So let's get into my rant today. I'm not going to get angry. So I'm not going to say that I'm going to get a little bit angry. I'm not going to get angry. I'm a little bit confused. And guys, I kind of want to have this more of an open forum than a rant today. Okay. This came to my attention not too long ago. And especially since, we're getting a little bit older. We're getting to the point now that...
You're getting a little bit older.
Chris and I are getting a little bit older. We're getting to the point now that we may have to start looking into... long-term relationships with our significant others. And, when that day comes, when you're able to pop the question and she says yes and all this, and you start planning your wedding, you dream about, maybe you don't dream about, but your girl dreams about this elegant wedding, big dress, great friends, good party, good time, nice wedding. I would bet one place that you don't dream about having your wedding, and we're going to stay in Las Vegas, actually, because that seems to be the theme. One place you don't plan to have your wedding is at a Las Vegas Taco Bell, which is now an option. So this Taco Bell in Vegas, I will read you what you can do. Beginning August 7th, this Taco Bell restaurant in Las Vegas is allowing you to get married. All you have to do is get your marriage license and visit the restaurant in person this summer, walk up to the counter, and order a wedding right off the menu.
Do you take Mary to be your lawfully wedded wife?
Daca.
I do. 2 gordita crunches and some Baja Blast, please.
So this wedding package is $600. You get a ceremony in the chapel inside the restaurant with an ordained official within as little as 4 hours. A private area for a reception inside the restaurant with up to 15 of your closest family and friends. Custom merchandise, including a sauce packet garter and bow tie. Just married t-shirts for the bride and groom. Taco Bell branded champagne flutes. And of course, they have of course on here, a taco 12-pack filled with tacos and a Cinnabon Delights cake for dessert. And finally, you get a sauce packet bouquet that can be available for the bride to use during the ceremony. Guys, this is the picture of what you get.
This is, I think, one of the worst things humanity has done.
This is the dumbest thing that I've ever heard.
Well, I'll tell you where it spans from.
I'm putting that picture up.
Yeah, please do, Brandon, because I think our viewers need to see what exactly we're looking at right now. It spans from one thing. It was a bad decision for this couple to get married, and they're making worse decision as their marriage goes.
So we're gonna get married, which is dumb to begin with, and then we're gonna stack on top of that dumb decision by getting married at the prestigious Las Vegas Taco Bell.
It's consistency at its finest.
Well, and that's the thing. If you're nothing if you're not consistent. And at least got to give at least whoever's going to do it credit. They have a video. I'm not going to play the video, but these people look like they're kind of smiling through pain. Like they don't really want to be in.
It looks like the end of The Graduate.
They really don't want to be in this picture, but somebody wrote them a check.
They look like they want to be in the picture, but they're about to rush to the bathroom.
Right?
I mean...
Hold up their Taco Bell with, "Will you marry me?" the packets. Those things can probably get you into some trouble, by the way. You just grab a handful of packets one day innocently at Taco Bell, plop them down, your girl looks at it, yes, I will! And then you're like, oh, shit. What do I do?
Well, I got engaged at a Taco Bell.
Yeah, I might as well get married at the Taco Bell.
Oh my God, this is just a...
But guys, if you take a look at this picture, guys, like Brandon said, we'll put it up. The bouquet of sauce, okay, is weird. The Mr. and Mrs. shirts, sure. Free tacos, whatever. What weirds me out the most about this is the champagne that I'm pretty sure is just Baja Blast.
It's Baja Blast.
Call it.
You know what? As soon as you brought up the picture, that was the first thing that was sticking out to me. Was the champagne of Baja Blast. Because nothing says trashy America like bottles of champagne glass full of Mountain Dew.
I was wondering what the radioactive goo was myself. Jesus.
Well,
this is what I'm wondering.
That's the bouquet of sauce.
Yeah.
See the stem here? That's the bouquet of sauce.
Wait, so you toss that behind you, you don't catch the stem, and you just crush all the sauce?
Yeah, probably. Well, here's the thing, too. And I'm looking at this package. I don't know if this is all-inclusive or not, but that looks to be the cake, and I'm pretty sure they're just Cinnabon pieces.
They are the cinnamon bun pieces, yeah.
They're nothing different. They're not a cake or anything.
No.
But you get a 12-pack of tacos for 15 people, so if anybody wants 3/4 of a taco, you're more than welcome to have it.
I got something fun to say about this.
Go ahead.
What happens if you already had your marriage ceremony, you already did the legit thing, but then you get a bunch of friends together, and you're like, $600?
Yeah.
$600 isn't that much, and you're just like, hey, let's get 15 of our friends together, have a second wedding,
We'll just
and
mess
let's
around.
do it at Taco Bell. Like, that's not that bad of an
Well,
idea.
and that's the thing. If you're going strictly for a comedic standpoint, or just getting your friends together, because here's the thing, you and I we used to go get Taco Bell all the time together. Mm-hmm. That would be a funny thing if we got just our close friends and did it, as like you said, as a second thing, just as kind of a hangout, and just your buddies and your now wife's friends. But to legitimately do this in Las Vegas in a Taco Bell for $600, I don't know, but I think you have two issues on your hands. Either you have yourself a woman who is going to divorce you or say no when you say let's do it at Taco Bell, or you have somebody that's just as batshit crazy as you that wants to get married in a Taco Bell. Either way, your next couple of days are not going to go well.
I think they're probably both just batshit crazy.
I think you're right.
You know what, dude? This isn't the first time I've heard about this. I used to work at a healthcare facility. I'm not going to say the name or anything like that. But you talk with your patients every day, and the one lady comes up to us, and she says, oh, it's my 25th wedding anniversary with my husband. And we're like, oh, you guys are so cute. She's showing us pictures and stuff like that. She says, we're going to renew our vows at McDonald's. We're like,
is that where they had their first date? Or?
So that's where they had their first date, and I guess it's special in their heart because it's also where her husband proposed to her. And I'm pretty sure, if my memory serves me right, he put the ring in a box of chicken McNuggets. So this is nothing new to me.
Right.
I've heard this story before.
So I would have. Here's my only thought on that is: are they an older couple?
What do you call it? Maybe in their 50s, 60s?
Oh, see, that doesn't even work. If that was somebody in their 80s, renewing their 50th or 60th wedding vows, it would make sense because back in in the 40s when they were probably dating, McDonald's was a legitimate date.
Yeah.
You could take you could go for a burger, you'd sit outside, everything like that. Recently, obviously, it's not, but that would make a little bit more sense if they were that old. But that 56, that's not old enough to.
Well, that would have been cute. The fact that they had their first date at McDonald's. But you know what? McDonald's shouldn't then become a staple of your relationship.
You're right, of your whole entire life.
It's unhealthy on more than one level.
Yeah.
Who has their first date at a Taco Bell in Las Vegas?
Well, that's the thing. I don't think that they did. I think this is just weirdos trying to get married in a Taco Bell.
I now have an amazing idea, Tyler. For your wedding, we're having your wedding in Las Vegas at a Taco Bell while I'm showing up in a full suit of armor.
I love my girlfriend way too
It'll be
much.
a golden night.
You would be a golden night. I love my girlfriend way too much for that to happen. Okay, so I'm just trying to look at. So here is that the platter you get?
What is that?
Sour cream.
That's sour cream,
That's
Brandon.
sour cream.
That's a pretty.
It looks like potatoes.
That's a pretty normal staple. But
the picture is all grainy. I'll put that one up.
They put the ring in the sauce.
Oh my god.
Well, at least if it's too small, maybe they can lather it up with some sauce to get it
Yeah,
on the
right?
finger, you know.
Oh, see, that's a legitimate cake.
You know what? I'm not going to lie right now.
That looks kind of good.
That looks really good. But
I'm going to just say this. No matter what, Taco Bell's getting some money, because after we're done the show today, I might have to go to
Chris
Taco
is going to go get Taco Bell. That's the thing. So that's, whether it's stupidity at its finest or great advertising, they just made $7 or $8 or $9. However much you plan on spending at Taco Bell.
I think they know that Americans are going to pay for this.
That's true.
Somebody's going to do it. It's not going to be out of the ordinary. People are going to do this. They think it's almost a novelty. Like, we went to Las Vegas, and instead of going to some small chapel and getting married, we did it at Taco Bell. I don't know.
People are weird. That's all I can think.
It's not my culture. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not going to get married at a Taco Bell. I promise you that. I could see Brandon getting married at a Taco Bell.
Can you see me getting married at all?
Oh, yeah. Somebody just as weird as you, they'll come along.
When? I'd like to meet them.
Wow,
If you have any viewers that wants to meet up with Brandon, we will show a special feature of their first date.
I think we'll go.
At a Taco Bell.
We'll video it.
We'll video it. We'll
make sure-
commentate on it.
Me and Chris will hide in the bushes. Here's Brandon as he approaches the girl. Oh, she slapped him!
I didn't even say anything yet.
I think that would be funny. We got any female listeners that need a date? Brandon is single. He's below average attractive.
Thank you.
Well below average social.
But above average heart.
Above average heart. Good guy all around.
I don't think people care about that anymore.
Oh, no, they do. There are still good people left in the world.
Older women.
It's true.
Yeah.
We'll have to find somebody for you, Brandon. Maybe it's somebody's wedding or something. You'll find a friend, like maybe you'll get to meet somebody at my wedding or something like that.
Maybe.
That's not Bridget.
Yeah, please don't do that. Or her friends.
Hey, baby, what you up to? I'm the bride.
Oh, I will talk to you later.
All right. How about you? You're my second choice.
Oh, you're the bride? I couldn't tell because of the garter belt made out of sauce that says mild around it. I'm looking for a more spicy
I want
type of
spicy. I need hot. Muy caliente.
Oh, man.
All right, let's get off Taco Bell and head to our next commercial break. On the other side, Brandon's got his normal question for us. He hasn't given us any insight on what this question is, so we're kind of going to be doing it for the first time. We'll head to our commercial break. You'll hear that and more on the other side of Baron Banter. Welcome back into Baron Banter. Thanks for sticking around through that Taco Bell segment. We hope you enjoyed it. I can promise you one thing.
We are not sponsored.
We are not sponsored by Taco Bell, nor are any of us going to get married at a Taco Bell. So you have that to not look forward to. But on this third segment, Brandon likes to pose us a little bit of a question. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little more goofy. Brandon, more on the serious side today or a little bit more on the goofy side?
This is more serious, and it kind of crossed my mind a while ago. Actually, it crossed my mind, I think it was last week when we were doing the podcast. My question to you this week is this. What is more important to either you or, say, America? What would you say is more important? Freedom or security?
Wow. That's a tough question, especially with the world we live in today. Like, start, or you wanna let me get it ready? You wanna go this?
I'll just say my opinions
on
it right from the beginning. For me personally, and I know this is very, very probably not popular with many Americans, I much rather have the government listen in on my phone calls, read my emails about the bullshit that I do on my normal day life, than not be able to catch some terrorist planning something god awful. I know we have our freedoms and our liberties, but I'd rather be protected than live in a world where I'm be killed because we're not allowed to listen to bad people's conversations.
Well, and here's the thing that, I honestly thought I might be the only one to say that, but I agree with you. I think security is the way to go. And here's the deal. You could say the Patriot Act is un-American, unconstitutional, whatever you want to say. Maybe it overstepped the boundary a little bit, sure. But at the end of the day, even with the Patriot Act, if it's in full swing, which it'll never be, but even if it is in full 100% effect as it's written in that hundreds and hundreds of pages of document, the United States is still the most free country in the world. And it always will be. Assuming something catastrophic doesn't happen, we are the most free people in all of the world because of the fact that we have the choices that we do every single day. The Patriot Act, probably in a lot of countries, is looked at as not harsh enough. I mean, you have countries that the Patriot Act is like bare bones of what their security is and what their level of ability to spy is. Mm-hmm. I think that we are very lucky to live in a country that the Patriot Act is talked about as something that's over the top.
Yeah, I completely agree. Brandon, what do you think on the subject, since this is your question?
Honestly, I'm sure Tyler is going to be surprised about this. I would choose freedom more than security. I think...
Why?
And it's not like anything to do with the whole Patriot Act or catching terrorists. It just... I honestly think we should have more freedoms and more... Like, anarchy rule? No. But, from what I've seen, the amount of times we've listened in to conversations or interrogated people, we've stopped pretty much 2 potential terrorist threats to the United States, which actually panned out to never be anything more than just chatter. Well, so it didn't even come out to anything with all the security. So why have it if it's not needed?
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, last week we talked about the health insurance. The security measures are much like health insurance. We're basically gambling on the fact that we want to lose the gamble. And basically what I'm trying to say is you're taking a look at, well, yeah, sure, that they could look into my emails. But I don't have anything to hide. So sure, go ahead and look at my emails that say, hi, this is Tyler Zulli. I'm applying for a job. Hey, I'm writing an article today. You want to mind taking a read? Whatever it comes out to be. I'd rather that and then maybe catch somebody than all of us have the protection that we want and somebody gets away with it.
Well, going on that, it's what you're describing is the illusion of security. Because 90% of the time...
That's all security is, an illusion.
I know.
I mean, unless there is a guy standing out at your door with a loaded gun, security is an illusion. It's just a deterrent more than anything else.
Exactly. But if it doesn't do anything half the time, why is it there?
Well, let me ask you this, Chris. Sure. What's the difference, or what's stopping you right now? We talked about this yesterday, or last week. What's stopping you right now from turning to me and stabbing me?
I would assume friendship.
Well, even if I wasn't his friend, I wouldn't just turn around and stab him. It's just basic humanity.
Exactly. But let's put it to you this way. Unless he saw it and reported you to the police, you could turn around, stab me, and walk out, and nobody would know it was you. Because the law...
Besides for forensics and DNA?
Right, in the front,
There's a lot of ways he could get caught.
But what I'm trying to say is, security is a measure... I was going to say matter and measure at the same time. Is a measure more of illusion and making it look like you're safe, because all there is laws that say, Chris, you can't stab somebody. It's illegal. But it's only illegal if you get caught. That's what laws are, and that's what protection is. And that's the same thing for security for me. It's just a protective measure.
So are we only including this freedom and security? I guess we're taking like a surveillance stance.
I think that's kind of how he got at, but is that what you mean, or is it
like complete,
just overarching?
Complete freedom.
Okay.
Freedom from what?
Everything.
That's a very broad.
That's very broad. We could talk about that for days.
I know. Laws, everything.
I'll tell you this.
I think we either have... Like, George Carlin had once said this. Yeah, he's a comedian, but it actually turned out to be kind of true. He was talking about rights with people. Like how do certain people have certain rights? Like, and most people will say they're God-given rights. Then why do we have more than other people over in the Middle East? So we either have...
They're governed rights. There's no such thing as a God-given right.
We either should have unlimited rights or absolutely no rights at all. I feel that, like you said, if you wanted to, you could stab him in the face.
Right.
But
I feel if I didn't like what you did to him, I could stab you in the face.
Black and white does not make any sense in this world we live in. There's gray area. You shouldn't have every right to do everything.
Right.
Or no rights at all to do nothing. You should have rights to. I think our country. I'm not this hard on for America, but our country is one of the best examples. We should have a right to protest our government. We should have a
Absolutely.
right to, basic human rights. Women throughout the world don't have rights that the women in America have. But then we should also not have the right to kill each other
right.
or, do damage to one's property and stuff like that. You should not have all rights or no rights at all. That doesn't make any sense to me.
And the thing is, freedom is a very subjective term based on where you live. Freedom for us, so in the grand scheme of the last couple of years, freedoms that have maybe been hinged on are black rights, women's rights, LGBT rights that are they have a place and a problem within the United States, and within the United States they need to be dealt with because they are problems. But if you go to another country, and let's say you go to somewhere, you go to Sudan, the Darfur area, you go to North Korea, the rights that our women and our African Americans and our LGBT are fighting for are not the same rights that their African Americans and women's and LGBT are fighting for, because our LGBT are saying we want to have marriage rights. Yeah. And they deserve marriage rights in this country. But in North Korea, the LGBT are being executed.
Or, I don't know reports of that happening in North Korea. We know nothing
right,
about it.
Just
in an actual real-life scenario right now in the Chechnya region of Russia, they're rounding up gay people and putting them in prisons and interrogating them and torturing them.
Right.
The reports are coming out, which is almost like if they're we don't even know if maybe they're killing them, which is almost on a Holocaustal level of what they're doing. They're rounding people up in this certain region of Russia. So their rights is basic survival, where our rights of LGBTQ in America is, I don't want to minimalize it, but they want to be able to get a wedding cake from any vendor, which is a court case that's actually going to the Supreme Court right now. So that's actually a big deal in that community right now, is they're taking to court a baker that doesn't want to sell their cakes to gay couples. But then in other parts of the world, gay couples are being possibly murdered. They're certainly getting tortured and interrogated by their government. So,
but think about this. Most likely in Russia, what they would be saying is it'd be for security that they're taking these people away.
They would be, because they have a different mindset. It's what I'm saying. It's all encompassing about where you live. Again, I bring it back to what I said in the beginning. We live in a country that grants you more freedoms than any other country in the world. We go back to LGBT and whatnot. Our LGBT freedom riots are for privileges and basic rights of equality. They're much deserved and they're much needed, because you're right. They're right. Up until very recently, and I still think even today, the LGBT community was not treated the same as the straight community. What's the difference? They're people. I don't give a shit who you love. Just if you love him and he loves you, then fine. If she loves you and you love her, I don't care. But it's a different encompassing factor, because we're living in a country that has a lot of freedoms and a lot of rights, whereas over there, they're being persecuted to death. That's security in their land. Ours is freedom. You get the difference?
I understand the difference, but this is why I mostly look into the world as black and white instead of gray. It's easier.
Well, you live in a very linear world, and you got to understand that that's not the world we live in.
But you know what, Brandon has a point. Me and you are seeing gray. He's seeing black and white. Where, leaders around the world are seeing black and white.
Right, and that's
so
the problem.
There is no gray. So it's just a different way of viewing things. And me and you think we're right. He thinks he's right.
They think they're
right.
Everyone thinks they're right.
Everybody thinks they're right. Nobody thinks they're wrong. Everybody views the world in different, and it's just what pulling people apart is their views, and then they believe they're right about everything.
Well, and you get that pull apart, it leads to riots, and that leads to more security. So,
which in some countries, it's like...
And less freedom.
Less freedom, because they want... In a lot of countries, it's illegal to protest. I think Russia has...
I'm sure they do.
Very strict laws. In China, very strict laws about protesting. Egypt. I know in America, some lawmakers want to make it illegal to be a protester. So it's like, okay, more security to get rid of riots and protesting, which might be violent, but then it takes away freedom. So it seems like what we're stuck in is this constant balance between freedom, security.
Right.
What is more important?
Well, and here's the thing: if you guys remember the Baltimore riots a couple years ago,
yeah.
So when they were happening, you could get jailed with a bail set of $500,000, but those were full-on riots. I mean, they were looting and burning things to the ground.
There's a difference between a riot and a protest.
But here's protest in Palestine: 30 months in jail and fines. In Egypt, 7 years in jail. Iran: death by hanging, shooting, stoning, or falling from a height. China: travel restrictions, re-education through labor, and jail. I mean, you're looking at countries that... North Korea, 5 years of correction labor, and believe me, correction labor...
we know what that means.
Correction labor is slavery.
You come back in a coma.
Yeah. Moscow, up to $30,000.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at countries that are way over the top as opposed to the United States. And people are arguing that they need more freedoms in the United States. I disagree. I don't think it's... I think that freedom and rights are different, and I don't think people are getting that separate spheres, I guess, if it makes any sense. I know we kind of got a little bit off topic there.
No, I don't think it's off topic at all.
It's just a question I was wondering.
I think it's a question that really raises a lot of thought-provoking conversation. I think, honestly, Brandon, if I knew that this was going to be like this, we would have thrown this at the top of the show. That was...
Probably should have.
But, I mean, that's my thought process as to why I say security over freedom. It's just because, I get back to what I said in the beginning. I would rather be safe knowing that there's a chance they might catch somebody than and let them read my emails.
You know what? I'm going to play devil's advocate here, and... We're viewing this as citizens.
Right.
We do not hold leadership positions. What happens if you are the leader of this country, or multiple leaders, lawmakers of the country? Your main job and your main responsibility is to keep the people safe and keep the country under control. You can't have a country which is constantly overran by riots and the people, even though we're a country for the people, by the people. But still, as a leader, you need to have control. Otherwise, the nation is going to fall apart. And then, so how do you have control? You beef up security. You make laws which are going to take away the freedom of the people. Because, at the end of the day, can the people run themselves? You know what I'm saying?
It's been proven time and time again that they can't.
Yeah.
And like you said, Brandon, I think that, George Carlin said that no freedoms are absolute freedoms. I think the healthiest countries fall in between them.
Maybe. Honestly, I want to see what other people have to say. If you are watching this, put down in the comments or tweet at us, and tell us what you pick and why. I want to see what your answers are.
Yeah, give us some feedback. Tell us what you think. Let us know if you think any of us, or if you agree with any of us particularly, or you have a completely new idea that maybe we missed. And maybe you have an opinion of something that we don't have. You got to remember, we are 3 straight white men. We don't have many hardships.
No.
If you have a different opinion,
just think about this. If we went back in a time machine, we could pretty much go to anywhere in time,
and we'd be fine.
And we'd be absolutely fine. You take an African American, his travel is a little bit restricted.
Right. So yeah, especially if you have some kind of circumstance like that. Whether you're a woman, you're passionate about something, you're an African American, you're passionate about something, you're LGBT and you're passionate about something.
Also, if one of our listeners is from another country,
especially,
we would love to hear your opinion. Please just write what country you're from. That's all the information you got to give us, because we would love to know what your view is from a different culture.
Absolutely.
Don't get caught.
Yeah, if there's some kind of bylines in your laws, Don't worry about it. You can maybe you can
Email
you
me.
can DM us. That might be better.
Send me a text.
Yeah, send us the tweet in the DMs. Anybody else have anything else you want to get to before we head to the final break?
Nope.
All right, let's head to the final break. Then on the other side, we've got a little bit of a more lighthearted, fun segment. I think things might get a little bit heated, but not in an angry way, more in a competitive way.
I think we're about to nerd out.
I think we're definitely going to nerd out big time, and you'll see on the other side. Take a listen. This is Baron Banter. Welcome back into the final segment of Baron Banter for this week's episode. Tyler Zulli, Brandon Zulli, Chris Matase here in the Ben Salem studios. I told you we're going to nerd out. Well, Brandon told you we're going to nerd out a little bit. I told you we're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to do a little bit of segment that Chris came up with for this last one, and we're going to aptly title it The Gauntlet. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 4 fictional characters, can be from any outlet, movies, TV shows, video games, your game, just regular games, and pit them up against each other, one-on-one. We'll go to a championship, and we'll see who wins each week. We won't do this every week, but we're going to do it a couple of weeks, here and there, to see how you guys like it. So what we did was we came up with 4 characters this week. One battle is a video game characters battle. The other one is your Japanese, I guess, kids shows, card-based gaming people, characters, monsters, whatever you want to call them. So, you guys want to start with the cards or with the video games?
Let's start with the cards.
We'll start with the cards. So, what we're going to do with this card battle is this was one that Chris and I came up with. We're going to go with a Pokemon versus a character from Yu-Gi-Oh! So, we'll start with the Pokemon. It's going to be Mewtwo. So, we'll go Mewtwo versus the Yu-Gi-Oh! Character, Blue Eyes White Dragon. Now, this is a kind of a battle for me. It's different styles. Mewtwo's more analytical. He's more telepathic.
Well, he's probably the most smartest and human-like
Right.
Pokemon that...
I think he speaks, doesn't he?
Yeah, he
Yes,
does, yeah.
So you got Mewtwo on one side, then you got a real powerful, almost overpowering Blue Eyes White Dragon on the other side. Guys, I mean...
Now, are we considering Mewtwo's Mega Evolution?
No,
No,
just strictly Mewtwo.
Standard Mewtwo.
Strictly Mewtwo versus strictly Blue Eyes.
And no buffs for Blue Eyes at all?
Nope, nothing added, no cards, no double, triple Blue Eyes, nothing like that. Just your strict 3,000 point Blue Eyes White Dragon, and your regular original Mewtwo. I mean, either you guys want to start, go right ahead.
Chris?
Okay, so an interesting way of looking at this is Mewtwo doesn't have an owner, does he?
No,
He's not controlled by
he's
anybody.
not.
Where Blue Eyes White Dragon can only be summoned by somebody who possesses his card and summons him.
Well, if you think of it this, let's say we're just going with Blue Eyes. Back in the days of the show when it was like ancient Egypt, when they were
Okay.
actually monsters.
Okay.
Blue Eyes was one of the most destructive forces out there at the time, besides Obelisk, the Exodia.
Exodia.
He was almost unstoppable.
Okay, so even if you take the rare form of Blue Eyes White Dragon, so let's go Mewtwo versus the rare form of Blue Eyes, the raw form of Blue Eyes White Dragon.
Okay.
I guess you're, like I said, you're looking at two very contrasting styles. You're gonna be Blue Eyes is very very power based, and Mewtwo is more telepathic and thought based. Is there an edge there either way?
Well, Mewtwo's whole game, while he is powerful, is misdirection and mind tricks. Like
Right.
I said, his whole thing is basically making his enemy forget everything it's ever known and using that as a distraction to just take it out.
Right.
But with the Blue Eyes, it's more just a beast of destruction. So even if you mind wiped it, the Blue Eyes wouldn't care and would still be rampaging.
It's like asking if Mewtwo can get rid of animalistic
Traits.
and behavior that are so innate.
Can he tame a Blue Eye?
Blue Eyes, yeah.
Now, is Are those animalistic traits? Are they almost like? Would it be almost like a zombie? It'd be trying to like play out a zombie, basically. You know what I mean? They're not learned traits like you guys said. So are they? I guess are they more not prone to telepathic abilities? Can you not get rid of them at all?
If it's innate inside the being itself, I can't see it being
right
misdirected.
Okay, so we're basically thinking that Blue Eyes almost would be not smart enough to be directed away by Mewtwo, and that almost gives him an edge there by not being smart, I guess.
Also, think about this. Can't Mewtwo clone its enemies? Like the way it did in the movie?
Yes.
So wouldn't it just be able to clone a Blue Eyes to make it fight itself? At least to tire it out?
Why would it do that, though? I think Mewtwo's more... You would feel like he's almost wants to be in the fight.
No, like I said, it's more misdirection with Mewtwo. He wouldn't want to be in the fight. He would want to wear his opponent out until he can like make the best move against them.
Right.
So wouldn't he just clone Blue Eyes and have him fight himself? Say even if the original Blue Eyes wins, it's still tired, it's still weak, then Mewtwo can come in and take it. And even if Mewtwo can, even if it's a simplistic creature like a Blastoise, not Blastoise, Blue Eyes, Mewtwo can look into its mind and see what it's about to do for its next attack
before it
does it.
Right.
So he could see 15 moves ahead and just never be touched.
Well, and here's the thing with Mewtwo for me that I think I overlook. I think a lot of people overlook. Mewtwo is listed at 6'7" and 270 pounds. That's still, Blue Eyes is massive, but you're not looking at this little thing, you know. So does the size of Blue Eyes have anything? Give him any kind of an upper hand, even though he's mind-wise probably beaten.
Listen, what is Blue Eyes' most powerful move? It's
White Lightning attack.
White Lightning, which is shooting a beam of energy or lightning, I guess,
right,
out of his mouth. Mewtwo has a special blocking abilities. I think
he
we've
can
seen
deflect
it.
every
He
move.
can deflect stuff, especially I think maybe the White Lightning attack. So.
Especially that. It would be better to deflect energy-based projectiles.
Yeah. So, between the cloning...
the mind reading, and even if all else failed, even if it was a simple creature, couldn't he just kind of brain control it to become friendly?
He certainly could.
So, I guess, is there any way to stop Mewtwo in this battle?
I think one of my characters could in the next fight, but I think, honestly, Mewtwo would win this fight.
If we had to put it to a vote right now, I would say Mewtwo would win the fight between mind control and
just strictly power.
Strictly power and deflection.
Because think of this: most Pokemon in their world grow a lot stronger and everything from being raised. This is Mewtwo basic abilities without a trainer and without being raised or anything. This is him right out of the capsule.
Well, and here I'm looking at a site that has the 4 best Pokemon to beat Mewtwo. Some names you wouldn't think: Parasect, Snorlax, Starmie, and Slowbro.
Some of the dumbest characters in the entire Pokemon universe.
The best, most powerful Pokemon of all time.
We gotta also think it's most likely because of their type.
Well, and that's the thing. Psychic type Pokemon will be less damaged. Dark, Ghost, Bug types are super effective, and moves super effective against Mewtwo are Dark, Ghost, and Bug.
And we don't even have to wonder what Blue Eyes would be because he's a light fairy type.
Right.
He would be, and fairy
is
light
he fairy?
and fairy
is
are.
He fairy?
I believe so. Light and fairy are both in the Pokemon universe now,
They are.
so none of them would work against Mewtwo.
Right. So I guess we're putting this one to a vote here. Is it a clean sweep for Blue or for
I
Mewtwo?
think it's a
I think
clean
so.
sweep for
Also,
Mewtwo.
I don't know much of the history of Yu-Gi-Oh, and you were saying that they were once free-roaming monsters, and he was one of the most powerful. How did they get eventually captured and...
A buffed up, I believe, Dark Magician.
Okay.
With extra skills like the Book of Illusions and stuff.
So he could control them.
Or they used a Dragon Commander. A Dragon... Lord of D.
Lord of D.
Lord of D. Because with him and the Horn of Dragon, he can control any dragon type.
And we could possibly argue that Mewtwo could possess these powers.
He could. Yeah, he could. He could control the Blue Eyes.
Yes, so...
And then just make it jump off a cliff.
He could control it in any way possible. I think this is a clear win for Mewtwo.
I think you're right.
I think Mewtwo absolutely wins.
All right, so let's move on. The next one we got is a video game-based one. Two Sony characters that were never actually owned by Sony. I should say two PlayStation characters that were never actually owned by Sony, and now their rights are, God, who knows where, all over the world.
Well, now that Crash is... Oh, I'm sorry. I spoiled it.
Well, if their rights are all over the world, we're going to go Crash Bandicoot versus Spyro the Dragon. Now, I know, Chris, you weren't as much of a PS1 guy as me and Brandon were. But
if you put Tony Hawk into this battle, I would be able
Tony
to talk
Hawk
it up.
versus Bam Margera, we're good.
But you guys can take this one away.
I'm just going to say it straight off. I think Crash is absolutely winning in this fight.
Why, though? Let me ask you why.
Well, not only has he... I believe he saved the world more times than Spyro.
Take that out of the equation. This is a one-on-one battle.
All right. Well, we're going with all their stuff, right?
Right.
All their abilities.
Yeah, but we're not adding weapons and things like that. It's strictly you.
Crash has a weapon as an ability. His Wumpa Fruit Cannon.
I'm not adding that. I'm saying strictly what they can do with their body.
Well, just think of it this way. In the original Spyro, most of a couple of the enemies had swords and shields and things that were made out of metal. Crash Bandicoot has been able to be seen crushing metal with his body flop in some of the games.
Right.
So he could honestly be considered tougher and stronger than Spyro. And now Spyro would most likely be faster with his run speed.
Spyro's faster. He can fly, and he shoots fire.
He can only glide. He can only fly with the special.
Okay, so even if he can glide, he's got some ability to get away at least.
True. Are we adding Uka Ukas into this?
No.
Well, even with Spyro's flying ability, Crash has his own glide ability with the turbo spin.
Right.
He could just jump in the air, spin as fast as he could, and glide right over to Spyro. And along with that, he has the super jump, so he could jump higher. He can run. He can almost run as fast. He can glide, and with his spin attack, he can probably send back a few projectiles that Spyro would be throwing out. Maybe just not his standard flame breath.
Mm-hmm.
And with Spyro's Ram Charge, which is one of his most basic attacks, it would be useless against Crash's spin dash.
Why?
Because he would just bounce right back off of it. It would damage each other. It would be neutral damage.
Okay, so it would be neutral damage either way.
Yes.
So then let's go past that.
He would have to pretty much rely on projectiles.
So let's go past that. I mean, you take a look at Crash versus Spyro. Who's stronger? Who's physically stronger?
Well, like I said,
It's Spyro.
Crash can crush metal with his body.
Right, but not in a physical fight. He can't. He would have to get up in the air, get over top of Spyro.
Well, when he jumps on somebody, it would daze them, right? So he'd be able to jump on them, jump an extra height, and come crashing back down.
Okay.
And along with that, he has a lot more skills than Spyro's. Kart driving, jetpacking.
I told you, take the...
He's smarter, though. He's smarter than
Crash
Spyro.
is extremely stupid.
In the original games, he got smarter.
That's what we're talking about.
No, we're talking about the entire game spectrum.
That wouldn't make much sense.
How?
Because you got to we're talking because they evolve them over time. They become overpowered. So at the basic level,
in their original game?
Yeah, at the basic level, Crash versus Spyro.
Well, then Spyro would be smarter.
Right.
But Crash would be more resilient and more durable. Because the only reason Spyro has been able to able to survive multiple hits is because of sparks, and he wouldn't have sparks in this fight since Crash isn't allowed his Wumpa cannon.
Right. Exactly. I understand.
So it pretty much be if Crash could get in close, or would Spyro be able to keep him out with his fire breath?
Right.
That's a
Chris. Anything to add?
Now I'm just listening to you guys to banter over this.
barren
banter, dare I say. I never played either the games to much extent,
right.
So you guys have much more knowledge on the fact. When you come down to vote to it, I will put your two arguments into.
Right. Okay, well, here's the thing. I think it's time to vote, and I'm going to put a caveat out there. I enjoy Crash Bandicoot more than I enjoy the Spyro games, but I think if you're putting them in a one-on-one battle, I'm taking Spyro.
One moment. Hold on. I just saw something. That might help.
Brandon, you're causing dead air.
I'm sorry. Crash apparently has these things called the sneak shoes, which allow him to go invisible.
I've never heard of them.
Crash?
What? Are they in the first game?
The Wrath of Cortex.
No, that's not the first game. I told you, we're so sticking with the first games
And you're
only.
also using stuff that isn't like special.
Right, exactly.
So I think I'll throw my vote out there between the two of what you guys been arguing. I think Spyro.
I think Crash would win. He's more durable, and he'd be able to outmaneuver Spyro, because Spyro, remember in the original game, is like tank controls. He turns around slow,
Right.
or else he's charging right off a cliff.
Right.
Crash would be able to outmaneuver him and get on top of him and crush him to death.
Okay, well, here's the deal. You may believe that, but you've been outvoted.
I don't think so, man.
Okay, you've been outvoted. That's a truth.
It is a truth. I think you're leaving out some details.
Okay, well, you lose. So, Spyro is victorious. Do we need to send this to a vote? If Mewtwo just defeated Blue Eyes, a basically bulked up, steroided version of Spyro, do we need to send this to a vote?
I don't think so.
I don't think we
don't
do
think
either.
so. I think Crash would have a chance of beating Mewtwo, but not Spyro.
How?
Well, Crash has been mind controlled.
Just for devil's advocate's sake, how?
Because Crash has been mind controlled before, but he's always broken out of it rather quickly. And he has mind control abilities of his own if we're going with other games.
We're not. For the millionth time, we're not.
Just hear me out.
No, because it's not the basis of the game.
Well, then Mewtwo didn't have half of the abilities we talked about
Yes, he
in
did.
his fight in the original movie.
Yes, he did.
He didn't have the shield.
Yes, he
He
did.
did. He reflected energy from in that movie.
No.
Do we have to watch the movie after this?
Do we need to go to the tapes?
I think we need to go to tapes.
Okay, well, just so when we prove you wrong, you owe us Taco Bell.
I'm not getting you anything. Well, I guess we have a winner then.
I think we have a winner. I think Mewtwo takes it this week.
Mewtwo's the first champion.
The first ever champion.
Although I don't think we should bring him back too often because he is.
Well, we're not going to.
He is rather overpowered.
No, he won't be back until the Tournament of Champions.
I was just about to say we could have the tournament. Of
Yeah,
champions
he won't be
and
back until the Tournament of
The
Champions.
final gauntlet.
Yeah,
to see Who
exactly.
is the best fictional?
The best of the best.
The best of the best. Yes.
We'll come up with some more. Well, like we said, it won't be every week, but it'll be
Once a month.
Yeah,
something like that.
it'll be around. Don't
Yeah.
worry. We'll have it, and it'll be here.
If you guys want it more, just tell us.
Yeah, if you do want to hear it more, please let us know.
Or if you have an opinion of who should have won.
Yes, especially
Yeah.
who won and who's next. By the way,
Yeah, we would love to take some.
who do you want to
suggestions
hear?
in the Gauntlet?
Dun dun dun.
Death battle.
Well, I think that's going to pretty much wrap it up for us for Baron Banter for this week. For my partners Brandon Zulli and Chris Matase, I am Tyler Zulli saying thank you so much for listening this week and every week. If you liked what you heard, follow us on Twitter at EasyModeEarls. Find us on YouTube, EasyModeEarls as well. We're going to continue to look for some outlets to put this out on a more easily listenable,
More user friendly.
yeah, more user-friendly app that we can find. But until then, find us right here on those two channels saying thank you and have a good week.